What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Welcome back to Sunday. I am actually wearing my very last long sleeve shirt available to me, as well as I'm fighting a cold, so please bear with it. As you know, this last couple, 2-3 weeks, I guess, I have been messing a lot with spreaders. You could even say maybe that I'm a super spreader. And if you missed last week's video, I did a pretty comprehensive review of the most available broadcast spreaders to DIYers. Today, we're gonna actually talk about drop spreaders, which aren't really spreaders, they're actually droppers, and every single year we get a few people that would ask how to calibrate those because they prefer to use them. I'm hoping by the end of this video I'll talk you out of using a drop spreader, but if you do have one, I understand why. When you first get going, it seems like it would be simple, right? It can be a little scary for you to go and just be throwing stuff everywhere when you're not, you know, over here and over there and all around. I get how that can feel a little bit daunting, whereas a drop spreader, you feel like you're more in control. But really, I'm just gonna say you're not. Either way, here's my experience calibrating a Scott's Classic drop spreader. And I guess I'll just take you through it. So first, you gotta set the micrometer. I like that, see that? Micrometer. They got a name for it. And you gotta turn the micrometer until 8. So I will tell you that this dial is very interesting. Certain numbers will appear out of nowhere, disappear, but you also can look at it upside down fairly easily. It's made, you'll figure it out when you get one, but set the micrometer to 8. Then you gotta turn it upside down and use your foot to actuate the lever. And there's a little circular indentation on the drop plastic bar. I'll just read it. Stand the spreader on its handle with the Scott's logo facing away from you. Press gently with your foot on the control lever and observe the position of the shutoff bar. And then it says number 3, check for proper calibration with your foot on the control lever, the raised pointer. So that's a technical term right here. This is the raised pointer, which was also my nickname in college. The raised pointer on the shutoff bar located at the bottom of hopper should align with the bottom of the calibration line. So that's not a mistake in printing. That's not a bad mold in the plastic. That is actually the marking in the calibration line right there, and you have to stick your raised pointer on the calibration line inside that little circle right there. So here we are almost 3 minutes into this video, and if I realize I don't speed it up, I'm gonna lose y'all. So you got it set on 8, you're hammering it, and if you notice right there that thing, let's say that it's below that line, like way down there, or if it's above that line and you can't reveal it, remember, you're on 8. That's the standard where you start, is on 8. And if you can't see the line or you're way below the line, then that means you need to grab this little screw right here and screw it in or out to make it so this does line up when you're on the 8 down there, and this will line up. Does that make sense to you? I hope it does. It all rests on that indentation right there and that stiff pointer lining up on that line when you're on a section 8 down there at the very bottom. So you think I'm good, right? But no, because the calibration is only if you're going to use Scott's fertilizer. Other than that, you are not gonna find, at least on my fertilizers, you're not gonna find the setting for a Scott's Classic drop setter, so dropper. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them to you now, and that's what I decided I would do, is go ahead and calibrate. So we'll have settings for the Scott's Classic dropper for Yard Mastery fertilizers. If you're using some other fertilizer, you could use this same method, and you can see the mistakes that I made here. It was very frustrating, but, well, wait till the end to see if I burn my lawn. So since I've already got it in the 69 position inverted here, I'm just gonna go ahead and use that to my advantage. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put some pebbles across there, some prills of fertilizer, and just see if they fall through. And to me, it looks like most are falling through, but maybe a couple 2-3 might get hung up there. So what I'm gonna do is turn it back over. Go ahead and, what's that thing called again? The micrometer. I'm gonna go ahead and twist the micrometer, and I'm gonna search for the 9, which again, if you're upside down, looks like a 6. So you got to be careful that you do this right. And the 9 setting, when I put the pebbles across, you see they all fall through. Good. I'm like, there's a good starting point. Let's go for it. Now, the first thing to do here is choose a 2,000 square foot section for testing. And you will notice that I do that for all my testing because I think that's a good enough size area to get a good test. and just to see how things work, but you're not risking too much fertilizer if something is off. You're not going to burn things, don't worry, but well, we'll see. So with that, what I did is I measured out 6 pounds of fertilizer, because all my fertilizers are 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet. This is a 2,000 square foot area, so 3 times 2 is 6, so 6 pounds. And I have a little bucket here, you'll see, and I created myself a little template. I'm going to do a video on that because it's an easy way to know what 6 pounds is going forward. You know, we have all kinds of measuring things for liquid and all that, but I just went ahead and did a very similar exercise and made something like this in a bucket for granular. And so I have 6 pounds right here. So I'm going to show you something here that's extremely counterintuitive. So see on the top here, they got these arrows. And what this arrow says is align arrow with tire mark. So what that means is you're going to go down one way, and when you come back the other way, you're going to line, when you come back the other way, you're going to line that arrow up. So as you're sitting here and going back the other way, this arrow right here is on the previous tire track. But you see how those arrows are inside the full spread width or swath width or drop width. You see this thing, it drops fert all the way to the end, 22 inches of dropping power. But they want you to line this up with that last wheel track, and this is only 13 inches. So that means you have like 6 inches of overlap from pass to pass, and that just, I don't know, that seems really weird to me, but I can tell you, because it's counterintuitive, it's very difficult to get that overlap just right. And that just assumes you can see the wheel tracks. 13 inches might be wide enough for some people, but for me, I need a whole lot wider of a spread than that to give me satisfaction. So there's what I have left, and I have like 3 passes left, so I think I was walking too slow. We'll see. We'll see. This is, I'm not used to doing this, so that's why it's uncomfortable, but I can't see the fertilizer either. That bothers me. I mean, I can see it's getting less in here, but I just can't see anything. I have no visual reference of actual fertilizer flying. All right, well, that's it. And I really need to make one more pass, maybe 2. I know that I wasn't lining that arrow up every time perfectly with wheel tracks because they're hard to see. And so because I only came up 2 passes short, my first thought is, well, I must just be walking too slow. I need to put a little bit of ass into it. The setting is probably fine. So that's what I did. I loaded up another 6 pounds. I went to another spot in the lawn that is 2,000 square feet, and I went to town walking a little bit faster. And this time I actually came up even more short than the first time. So that time I didn't even make it halfway and it emptied. Same fert, same amount. By the way, the shutoff valve doesn't work very well. Stuff still gets all over the sidewalk. So now what I have to see is, well, maybe it fell out of calibration. So I get everything emptied out, whip it back around, put it on a setting in 8, you know, check that line, and I'm still calibrated and everything's good. So honestly, I really don't know what's happening here, but I know I need to dial it down. So I went ahead and dialed it down to an 8. So I was at a 9, dialed to an 8. I'm going to keep the walking speed fast. And I had to go back to the original spot that I did the first time because I'm running out of 2,000 square foot sections. And you might wonder if I burned it. Well, you should subscribe to the channel here to see later if I burned it down the road. But anyway, I went ahead and set now to an 8. I was at a 9, kept the walking speed fast, still came up short. Okay, well, I can only assume that my overlaps are just not consistent, and I don't really know because I don't actually see product. I'll try again and we'll dial it down some more, but I'm blaming myself in that my overlaps are not consistent. I'm sure they're not. There's no way, because I'm too paranoid about striping and not striping, and it was bad. It's my fault. I'm sure that thousands of people have used this, but I'm just not one of them. So I'm not sure what's going on, so I'm just gonna keep dialing it down. So I dialed down to a 7, got my 6 pounds in here, gonna go out and do my 2,000 square foot area, and this time I came out good. Okay, that was pretty close. Very close, actually. So let's do a little after action report here. So what did I learn here? Absolutely nothing, except for that this spreader is just not consistent at all. The spring is weak, the action, the pullback action on it is weak. Again, I've already mentioned you can't see the fertilizer. It's just not a pleasant spreading experience. But if you're gonna use one, I would say then for Yard Mastery fertilizers, the setting is 7. And if you're trying to calibrate this spreader for someone else's fertilizer, my best advice to you would be to go through this same exercise, but when all else fails, just hope for the best. So that's what we're gonna go with on the Scott's Classic Drop Spreader, is a setting of 7 for Yard Mastery fertilizers. Now, what do I like a drop spreader for? Because I'm not gonna totally hate on it for everything. I actually like it for thin parkways like this one. This is an excellent position here because you're not spreading things in the street, you're not spreading them on the sidewalk. I actually could do pretty well with a hand crank spreader here, but I would say the drop spreader is better. So for thin parkways like that, a drop spreader would work great. Also, I could see if you wanted to shore up a domination line really heavy, a drop spreader might work well. Drop dropper, see, I'm even using the wrong technical term. And the third one would be if you're seeding and you don't want to spread seed, you don't want to spread your seed all over into areas where your seed shouldn't be, like into flower beds or things like that, then yeah, a drop spreader would work great for seeding because it keeps everything under control. So those are some times when you would have a drop dropper, but at $90, right now, I don't see that as worth the investment. I could see many other things that you could buy for your garage that would be a lot more better use of your money. So with that, I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments and questions below, and I'll see you in the lawn.